We're joined in studio by SABC News reporter Nosipho Radebe, who is in studio. Very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us.
Evening, Paul, and thank you for having me.
I mean, it looks like a very, very good initiative theoretically when you think about how tender processes are conducted. We've just heard their former advocate Thuli Madonsela saying, former public protector advocate Thuli Madonsela saying that this is a commitment to competence and good pricing, really just ironing out the importance of having solid dealings when it comes to tender practices. What kind of reaction have you received as you were interacting with some of the business community and their response?
Yeah, certainly, Paul. Business was very supportive of this pact. Today's high-level discussion was really just talking about what are some of the things that they want added when it comes to this integrity pact. What are some of the things that they wanted subtracted? Because the proposal then is to have this document then attached to future tender documents so that it's part of the tender process, and this will ensure accountability, transparency, as you heard from Prof. Thuli Madonsela, ensuring that there's no inflating of prices, and then that we've got this accountability measure when it comes to procurement processes. And it all really comes from the COVID-19 procurement scandal, where we saw where it emerged then that politically connected people were doing business with the state for inflated PPE contracts. We also saw the Tembisa procurement scandal. That's where the suspicious multi-million rand payments were then flagged by whistleblower Babita Deokaran, which ultimately cost her life. And so this pact then, spearheaded by the Gauteng Ethics Advisory Council, will ensure then that there's ethical procurement, clean governance in the province, following then those sort of scandals that we've been having. And the council, just to put into context, has been in effect since 2017, but the talks then around this integrity pact, those dating back to about 2021. So we want to see essentially the integrity pact wants to see the regulation then of future relationships between the Gauteng provincial departments as well as those who do business with the state, ensure then that they're properly regulated and that there's transparency in the process.
So what are the consequences then as they try and ensure that this pact is enforced? What consequences will there be for those who may violate it?
So this document then will ensure then that you commit to what you say you can, that you what you put in the document is, if you say you are competent, then that you commit to that. So that's before any legal processes that will come into being. This document will ensure then that this document that binds you as well as the provincial governments, that you commit to what you said you were going to do. And that will then ensure then that we don't have these projects that are unfinished, that we've seen that clinics, the building of clinics, that takes time. Some projects are then just left after contractors were paid inflated prices. And that's what Prof. Thuli Madonsela was pointing to, saying that we'll then see this corruption, then this sort of corrupt practices then being rooted out. And those who form part of these contracts, that we know the SIU is investigating some contracts, some irregular contracts, as well as the AG, the Auditor General, flagging some of those contracts within the provincial government. So this will ensure then that those who commit to these contracts actually do the work for the price, that fair price. And that if there is sort of nothing that's done, then there's accountability. There's this document to go back to and say, listen here, so-and-so, or company A, company B, you've committed to this. You said you were the one who was going to do the work, but we see now that there's a subcontractor that wasn't party to this contract, and then take it from there. So
surely this will now give the public some sort of way to monitor compliance or report any potential breaches of contract.
Certainly, and it actually builds on the Gauteng government's initiatives already, such as the open tender system, digitizing then the tender system to ensure then that there is this transparency, that we can all see what's going on. We know who are the parties involved. And that's what was actually noted during the discussions today, that this is where, when we look at supply chains, the procurement process, that's really where the corruption comes in. And so the private sector was saying that we also want to have people who are actually up to standard in the public sector, people who can actually do the work, and the public sector also asking for the same commitments when it comes to the private sector, then to ensure that they do not try to inflate prices and get more money out of the state than they should actually.
Yeah, which speaks to the main ethical risks that it will account for when you look at the documents and what's at stake, what we have seen over the years.
Yeah, certainly. We've, of course, as I mentioned, we've seen these procurement scandals. We've still got investigations that are underway by the Special Investigating Unit, looking then into the province and some of those procurement, fraudulent procurement sort of contracts that were flagged. And also something that came out during this conference or this consultation today was that it costs the state about 84 billion rand annually when we look at the corruption that happens in procurement. And so if we can get, or if the province then can get this right, then that's money that can actually go towards other projects, ensuring then that there's more service delivery within the province and trust in the public sector.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks for giving us that breakdown. SABC News reporter Nosipho Radebe there speaking about the importance of the Integrity Pact.